1 hour, 60 minutes. That's all it takes to separate the average from the exceptional, the dreamers from the doers, the ordinary from the unforgettable. Most people waste it. The successful, they worship it. 1 hour a day, used the right way, can change your entire life. Think about it. While others are hitting snooze, complaining, procrastinating, or getting lost in distractions, someone out there is quietly using that same hour to evolve, sharpen their mind, strengthen their body, build their future, and train their soul. That's the difference. That's the edge. And that edge is what I'm here to talk to you about, the 1 hour rule. The 1 hour rule is simple, but don't confuse simplicity with weakness. It's not about working 18 hours a day or burning yourself out in a frenzy of overachievement. No, it's about the power of focused, intentional effort, dedicated time, just 1 hour every single day toward your growth. The 1 hour rule is rooted in a concept so simple that most people overlook it. Dedicating just one focused hour every single day to your personal growth. It doesn't require an extreme lifestyle overhaul or an unrealistic schedule. It doesn't demand 12-hour workdays, sacrificing your family life, or becoming a productivity machine. What it demands is 1 hour out of the 24 you're given to become a better, stronger, smarter version of yourself. That 1 hour is not about doing what you have to do for others. It's about doing what you must do for yourself. That hour is reserved exclusively for the work that matters most, your growth. The average person spends countless hours reacting to life. They wake up and instantly reach for their phone, responding to messages, scrolling through social media, reading the news, and allowing outside noise to dictate their inner world. Then they move through the day on autopilot, commuting, working, running errands, answering emails, putting out fires. They survive the day, not realizing that in the chaos, their true self is being neglected. They have dreams, goals, and desires, but none of them receive their attention, not because they don't care, but because they've surrendered their time. The 1 hour rule is a rebellion against that kind of passive living. This rule calls for one intentional hour, not a vague hour where you're half reading a book while checking your notifications or half exercising while watching TV. It's a focused, distraction-free hour where you are fully engaged in something that elevates you. That could mean physical training to strengthen your body, reading or learning to expand your mind, praying or meditating to deepen your spirit, or building something that brings your dreams closer to reality. The point is to deliberately choose a path of growth and carve out space to walk it every day. It may seem small, just 1 hour, but within that hour lies the power to change your life's direction. 1 hour a day over the course of a year adds up to 365 hours. That's the equivalent of more than 15 full days invested solely in yourself. Most people would agree they could do something life-changing in 15 days if given the chance. The 1 hour rule proves you can have that opportunity and more if you consistently use your time wisely. The beauty is in its simplicity. You don't need to plan out a giant transformation overnight. You just need to win that 1 hour, day by day. The power of this hour also lies in its compounding effect. Much like interest in a bank account, your personal investment grows over time. The skills you develop begin to reinforce each other. The physical strength you gain increases your energy and sharpens your mind. The mental discipline you build through consistent learning gives you the focus to stay on track. The confidence you generate from seeing steady improvement fuels your motivation to keep going. Eventually, that hour starts to influence the other 23. You approach your job differently. You walk into rooms with more presence. You stop reacting to life and start shaping it. One of the greatest advantages of the 1 hour rule is that it reclaims your time from things that drain you. Most people feel they don't have enough time in a day, but in reality, they often give their best hours to distractions. They spend hours watching meaningless content, stuck in conversations that don't add value, or mentally drifting while trying to multitask. The 1 hour rule is a conscious declaration that you will no longer give all your time away. You are choosing to reserve a portion of your day for yourself. You are choosing to grow intentionally. You are choosing to break free from the cycle of stagnation and mediocrity. When you treat that hour as sacred, you start to notice something remarkable. That time becomes the anchor of your day. No matter how chaotic things get, you know you've already invested in yourself. That creates a mental shift. You begin to see yourself as someone who follows through, someone who takes responsibility for their life, someone who moves with purpose. This hour becomes more than just a slot on your calendar. It becomes a symbol of your self-worth. It tells your mind, your body, and your spirit that you are a priority. It's not about how much you do in that hour. It's about how intentionally you do it. Even reading 10 pages of a good book, doing 30 minutes of deep breathing, or planning your week with clarity can have an outsized impact when done with full attention. That is the secret that separates those who live on purpose from those who drift. The 1 hour rule doesn't require brilliance, resources, or luck. It requires commitment, focus, and the decision to stop waiting for the right moment to start growing. Consistency beats intensity. That idea is at the heart of the 1 hour rule. Most people wait for a perfect moment to do something big. They think success requires massive effort all at once, a dramatic gesture, a bold leap, a life overhaul. They believe that if they're not grinding for 10 hours straight, they're not doing enough. But that mindset leads to burnout, frustration, and ultimately failure. The truth is, greatness is not built through bursts of intensity. It's built through quiet, steady, disciplined action done consistently over time. When you commit to just 1 hour each day and show up no matter what, you achieve more than most people who burn out after a few intense sprints. Consistency is what separates the people who want something from those who actually achieve it. Intensity may get you started, but consistency keeps you going. Everyone has moments of motivation. Everyone has days where they feel inspired, ready to take on the world. But what happens when that fire fades? What happens when the excitement wears off and life becomes ordinary again? That's when consistency becomes your superpower. It's what makes sure your habits outlast your moods. When you build a rhythm of daily effort, you no longer depend on external inspiration to take action. You move forward because it has become part of who you are. There's a difference between being interested in something and being committed. Interest is casual. Commitment is consistent. The person who works out for 1 hour a day, every day, even with low energy or a busy schedule, will outperform the person who pushes hard for 6 hours once a week and skips the rest. The student who studies 1 focused hour every day will surpass the one who crams the night before. It's the small actions done daily that move you forward. Most people want results without repetition, but nothing great happens without repetition. Repetition builds mastery. Mastery builds confidence, and confidence builds success. Consistency is also how you earn trust with yourself. Every time you show up, even when it's hard, you send a message to your mind. I do what I say I will do. That's a powerful message. It creates inner strength. It creates momentum. When you show up day after day, that momentum begins to carry you forward. You stop questioning whether you can do something and you start proving it with action. You develop a track record with yourself. You don't have to hope things will change. You know they will because you're changing. When you look at the people you admire, those who have achieved excellence in business, fitness, creativity, or personal development, you'll find that their success didn't come from a single event. It came from consistent, often boring, daily action. The writer who publishes a bestseller book didn't write it in one sitting. They wrote a few pages every day. The athlete who performs at the highest level didn't train only when they felt good. They showed up every day, rain or shine. The entrepreneur who built a thriving business didn't get there from a single great idea. They executed small actions every day, relentlessly. That's the power of consistency. It's easy to underestimate what 1 hour a day can do because the results aren't instant. We live in a world that celebrates fast results, quick wins, and overnight success. But the truth is, real transformation happens slowly. 1 hour a day won't feel magical at first. In fact, some days it may feel like nothing is happening. But give it time. Give it a few months. Give it a year. That's when you start to see the compound effect in action. What felt small at the start now becomes unstoppable. Your skills sharpen. Your mindset shifts. Your progress accelerates. What was once difficult becomes automatic. Most people struggle not because they're lazy or incapable, but because they don't stick with anything long enough to see the results. They try something for a week or two, don't see massive change, and give up. But the real difference happens after the excitement fades. That's when consistency takes over. That's when you're planting seeds that will grow into something real. It's in that daily grind, the quiet, invisible work, that the foundation of success is built. You know, you may not see the payoff immediately, but when it comes, it's exponential. 1 hour a day may feel like a drop in the ocean, but over time, it becomes a flood that changes everything. Consistency gives you control. It means you don't have to rely on unpredictable bursts of motivation. You don't have to wait for circumstances to align perfectly. You simply commit to the process. You show up, do the work, and let time do the rest. That's how you build discipline. That's how you build resilience. And that's how you build a life that reflects your true potential. The quality of your life is shaped by how you spend your discretionary time. It's not about the hours you're obligated to work or the time you spend on basic survival needs. It's about what you do with the moments that belong solely to you. These pockets of time scattered throughout your day are far more powerful than most people realize. They are your silent hours of opportunity, the ones not dictated by a boss, a deadline, or a demand from someone else. They are yours. And how you use them will determine whether you stay stuck where you are or rise to the next level. Every person, regardless of their background or situation, has some amount of discretionary time. It could be early in the morning, before the world wakes up, late at night after the noise settles down, during a lunch break, or even in a quiet hour of solitude. That time may not feel like much, an hour here, 30 minutes there, but it adds up. And more importantly, it reflects what you truly value. People often say they want success, growth, health, or fulfillment, but their use of free time reveals the truth. If you're constantly spending that time scrolling through social media, watching random content, or procrastinating, you're choosing comfort over transformation. This is where the 1 hour rule becomes a life-changing discipline. It takes the invisible hours of your day, the ones that usually slip by unnoticed, and turns them into tools of transformation. Most people don't even realize how much time they lose. They say they're busy, overwhelmed, or burned out, but a closer look at their schedule often reveals gaps filled with low-value activities. By simply reclaiming one of those hours and using it intentionally, you start to redesign the trajectory of your life. You begin to shift from reactive living to proactive living. The truth is, your life doesn't change in the hours you're forced to give away. It changes in the hours you choose to invest. Everyone has obligations. Everyone has responsibilities. But greatness is built in the margins, in those free hours where you decide to do something that moves you closer to your potential. That's where the edge is. That's where confidence grows. That's where dreams stop being fantasies and start becoming plans. It's in those moments where most people choose comfort that a few choose growth, and that single decision makes all the difference. Think about it. 1 hour a day to learn a new skill, build a business, write a book, master a craft, meditate, or train your body. These are not huge, impossible tasks, but they require you to consciously decide that your time matters. They require you to believe that even a small window of time if used wisely, can lead to massive change, because it can. And when you begin to prioritize that hour, you begin to see yourself differently. You begin to live on purpose. That hour becomes the anchor of your day, the one space where you're not performing for the world, but building yourself from within. People often ask, how do I change my life? The answer isn't found in some complicated formula. It starts with one decision: to stop wasting your free time and start investing it. What you do when no one is watching says everything about where you're going. That's why the 1 hour rule is so powerful. It gives you structure in a world full of distraction. It gives you a sense of control in a life that may feel chaotic. And it gives you proof, daily proof, that you are becoming someone different, someone better, someone stronger. Your discretionary time is the most honest reflection of your priorities. You may have to work to survive, take care of your family, or meet certain obligations, but the hour you have to yourself is yours. You can fill it with distractions, or you can fill it with discipline. You can waste it complaining, or you can use it to create. You can drift through it, or you can decide to drive your future with it. It's not about finding extra time. It's about reassigning the time you already have and elevating its purpose. The people who separate themselves from the average aren't necessarily smarter or luckier. They're just more intentional with their time. They don't let life happen to them. They shape life through the consistent use of their free hours. That's where the real advantage lies. Not in working harder than everyone else all the time, but in being more deliberate during the moments others take for granted. The 1 hour rule is your invitation to treat your discretionary time as sacred. Not because you have to, but because your future depends on it. The quality of your life, in the end, is not determined by chance, but by what you do when you finally have a choice. The 1 hour you dedicate each day is not just a time block on your schedule. It is an anchor, a statement, a reminder to yourself that you're not living aimlessly. When life feels chaotic, unpredictable, or out of control, having that single consistent hour is what grounds you. It becomes the most stable part of your day, even when everything else is uncertain. It's your commitment to your own growth, your own peace, your own vision. In that hour, you're not responding to the demands of the world. You're listening to your inner voice, strengthening your core, and building something that can't be shaken by external forces. Life constantly throws distractions, emergencies, and noise at you. Every day, something or someone is competing for your attention. And if you're not careful, your time is no longer your own. You spend all your energy reacting to problems, putting out fires, pleasing others, and doing things you didn't plan. Eventually, you feel like you're drifting, like your life is just happening without your consent. That's why having an anchor is crucial. The 1 hour rule gives you that anchor. It gives you a moment of stillness in the storm, a piece of the day you can call your own, no matter what else is happening around you. When you commit to that hour, you're doing more than just checking off a habit. You're taking a stand. You're saying, this hour is mine, and I will use it to shape who I am becoming. That act alone changes your mindset. It gives you clarity. It reminds you of your goals. It tells you that no matter how stressful or unpredictable life gets, you are not powerless. You are not at the mercy of circumstances. You still have a choice, and that choice is how you use your time. That's a powerful realization. And there's something incredibly empowering about having a non-negotiable hour. When you treat that time as sacred, it elevates your entire day. You walk into meetings differently. You handle challenges with more calm. You speak with more confidence. Why? Because before the world asked anything of you, you already gave something to yourself. You already won the first battle of the day, the battle of showing up for your own development that builds momentum. And momentum builds power. You stop feeling like you're being tossed around by life and start feeling like you're in control of your direction. Even more importantly, that hour serves as a daily reset. On tough days, It becomes your refuge, a space where you can reconnect with your values and realign your focus. On good days, it becomes fuel, a space where you can amplify your energy and push further. Either way, it's always there, and its consistency gives you the strength to handle whatever comes next. Most people think they need to change everything at once to change their lives. But often, what they really need is just one solid habit that keeps them grounded when everything else feels shaky. This hour doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't require fancy tools, perfect conditions, or massive breakthroughs. It just requires presence. Whether you're reading, training, meditating, writing, or learning, it's not the activity that gives the hour its power. It's the focus. It's the intention. It's the decision to be unavailable to the world and fully available to yourself. And when you do this every day, you start to notice a shift. You're not as easily rattled. You don't react emotionally to every inconvenience. You don't get lost in the noise. Because deep down, you know you've done something meaningful. You've invested in the part of you that can't be touched by chaos. That sense of calm, confidence, and clarity is a direct result of consistency. Every day that you show up for your hour, it strengthens your mental foundation. And that foundation becomes the lens through which you experience the rest of your life. You stop chasing balance in every situation because you've already created balance within. You stop waiting for peace from the outside world because you've built it into your routine. The hour becomes more than a habit. It becomes your baseline, your compass, your place of power. It's the root that keeps you grounded and the fuel that keeps you going. There will be days when nothing goes according to plan, when stress hits harder than expected, when discouragement creeps in. But if you can still hold on to your 1 hour, you haven't lost the day. You've kept control. You've honored your growth. And over time, that single act of consistency becomes your strength. It becomes your edge. It becomes your foundation for everything else you're building. You don't need more time. You need better focus. This is the hidden truth most people overlook while chasing productivity. People are constantly searching for more hours in the day, complaining about not having enough time, believing that if they had just a little more space in their schedule, they could finally build the life they want. But the problem is rarely the lack of time. The problem is usually the lack of focused effort in the time they already have. 1 hour of deep intentional focus is infinitely more valuable than 3 hours of distracted, half-hearted activity. It's not about how long you work. It's about how present you are when you do. Focus is a force multiplier. When you eliminate distractions, shut down the noise, and bring your full mental energy into a single task, you unlock levels of efficiency that most people never experience. In today's world, attention is under constant attack. Notifications, scrolling, multitasking, and digital noise have fractured the human mind. Most people can't focus for more than a few minutes without reaching for their phone or switching to something new. This scattered attention leads to shallow work, and shallow work leads to shallow results. But when you protect your 1 hour with the intention to focus, that hour becomes a zone of power, a space where real progress happens. The truth is, success doesn't come from doing more things. It comes from doing fewer things better. The 1 hour rule is not about cramming your schedule with productivity for the sake of being busy. It's about carving out a protected time where your focus is sacred. During that hour, you're not reacting to emails, checking social media, or jumping between tasks. You're locked in. You're absorbed. You're doing work that matters with full attention. And that level of focus, practiced daily, trains your mind to become sharper, stronger, and more disciplined over time. Most people waste more time than they realize, not because they're lazy, but because they're distracted. A 10-minute phone check turns into a 30-minute scroll. A quick glance at email turns into an hour of back and forth messaging. Before they know it, hours have disappeared and nothing meaningful has been accomplished. But when you apply the 1-hour rule with focused intention, you take back control of your attention. You stop leaking time through distraction and start channeling it into creation, learning, building, and mastery. It's a shift from passive consumption to active development. That one focused hour each day begins to sharpen your ability to concentrate. The mind, like a muscle, strengthens through consistent training. When you practice focusing deeply for an hour every day, you begin to resist the urge to check your phone, to switch tasks, to escape into mental clutter. You become more aware of your own thoughts. You catch yourself before you drift. You build mental stamina, and over time, what used to be a challenge, deep focused work becomes your new normal. That's when breakthroughs happen. That's when you produce your best ideas, your clearest thinking, your highest level work. Focus also gives your effort a sense of direction. When you're scattered, your energy's divided. You may feel busy, but you're not moving forward. You're spinning in circles, always starting, but never finishing. Always reacting, but never progressing. But when you focus, your energy becomes aligned. Every action feeds the next. Every thought builds on the last. There's momentum, coherence, and clarity. You're not just doing work, you're doing the right work, the kind that leads somewhere meaningful. And because your mind is clear, your creativity rises. You see patterns, solutions, and opportunities that were invisible in the fog of distraction. Unfocused hour a day, over the course of weeks and months, compounds in extraordinary ways. Think about how much you could learn if you studied something with full attention for an hour every day. Think about how far your fitness could go, your business could grow, your writing could evolve, or your mindset could sharpen, not because you spent your entire day grinding, but because you committed to showing up with intention and focus. That's the overlooked magic of focus. It turns ordinary time into extraordinary results. It transforms the average into excellence and the chaotic into clear. You don't need to overhaul your entire life in one night. You don't need to fill your day with back-to-back tasks. You just need to master your focus during that one sacred hour. If you can do that, everything else starts to align. Your confidence grows because you're no longer wasting time. Your identity shifts because you're becoming someone who follows through. Your results begin to reflect the level of attention. In the end, it's not about how much time you have, but how well you use the time that's already in your hands. Momentum is what turns small actions into unstoppable progress. It's the force that carries you forward when motivation fades, when things get hard, or when life feels like it's standing in your way. The beauty of the 1-hour rule is that it creates momentum in the simplest and most sustainable way by making daily progress feel achievable. When you focus on showing up for just 1 hour a day, you remove the overwhelming pressure of doing everything at once. You start small, stay consistent, and suddenly you're not just trying to change your life. You're doing it 1 hour at a time, day after day. Most people fail not because they lack talent or desire, but because they never build momentum. They start strong for a few days, fueled by excitement or desperation, but the moment they miss a day or face resistance, they crash. That's because they've tied their progress to a feeling rather than a habit. Momentum, however, doesn't rely on feeling inspired. It's built through disciplined action, repeated often enough to become a pattern. And when your brain starts to see that pattern, it begins to trust you. It believes this is what we do now. And that belief creates motion, even when your emotions are telling you to stop. The power of momentum lies in its compounding nature. 1 day of focused work doesn't change your life, but it shifts your direction. 2 days deepen the path. A week creates a streak. A month begins to shape your identity. Before you know it, you've moved farther in a few consistent hours than others do in weeks of scattered effort. That's because momentum isn't just about speed. It's about direction and rhythm. When you build a rhythm with your time, you no longer need to push as hard every single day. Your habits begin to pull you forward. What used to take effort becomes automatic. And that's when real transformation begins. It's easy to underestimate how much momentum can be built in a short amount of time when you stay consistent. That 1 hour every day starts to influence how you think, how you plan, how you carry yourself. You begin to anticipate growth. You wake up thinking about progress. You move through your day with a quiet sense of purpose, not because everything is perfect, but because you've developed a pattern of action that gives you traction. You're not standing still anymore. You're moving, you're growing. And that movement is addictive in the best way. The greatest enemy of growth is stagnation, not failure. When you're stuck, when you're not doing anything, when days pass without meaningful action, you lose your confidence. You start to overthink. You doubt your abilities. You question your path. But when you build momentum, even in small steps, you silence that doubt. You don't need to prove everything at once. You just need to keep moving forward. Even if it's slow, even if it's imperfect, forward is always better than still. The 1 hour rule removes the pressure of perfection and replaces it with the power of progress. You start to realize that momentum doesn't require massive action. It requires consistent movement. And this is what most people get wrong. They think transformation means taking huge leaps, but it's not the giant steps that change your life. It's the tiny steps you take consistently that begin to rewire your future. That hour each day is a small step, yes, but it's a powerful one because it proves to your brain, to your identity, that you are someone who follows through. That belief is the fuel for unstoppable growth. Once you believe that, you're consistent, everything else becomes easier. There's also a psychological shift that happens when momentum kicks in. You stop seeing your goals as distant hopes and start treating them as inevitable outcomes. That 1 hour becomes your proof. You no longer need external validation. You no longer rely on perfect conditions. You've created your own internal engine that moves you forward. And that kind of momentum is rare because it's not based on hype. It's based on discipline. It's not loud, but it's powerful. It's not dramatic, but it's unstoppable. And once you feel it, once you realize how much you can accomplish with just 1 hour of focused effort every day, you'll never want to stop. Momentum also builds resilience. Life will throw obstacles at you. There will be distractions, setbacks, and days when nothing goes according to plan. But if you've already built momentum, you'll find it easier to bounce back. You'll trust your ability to recover. You'll have proof from your own consistency that you don't need to start over. You just need to keep going. That kind of resilience is priceless. And it doesn't come from motivation or talent. It comes from showing up every single day, 1 hour at a time, until the rhythm becomes so strong, so rooted in who you are, that stopping no longer feels like an option. Clarity is the compass that directs your energy toward what actually matters. Without clarity, even your hardest efforts can become scattered and meaningless. You might stay busy all day and still feel like you've made no real progress. That's because motion without direction is just noise. The 1 hour rule, when practiced daily, becomes a space not only for focused work, but for finding clarity about who you are, what you want, and where you're going. It gives you time to think, to reflect, and to align your actions with your purpose. In that hour, you're not just doing tasks. You're tuning into your deeper vision. In today's hyper-distracted world, most people live in reaction mode. They wake up and immediately get pulled into other people's priorities, emails, notifications, problems, and news. The day becomes a blur of reacting rather than creating. When you live like that, you lose touch with your own goals. You forget what's important. You move fast, but in the wrong direction. But when you intentionally carve out an hour for your growth, your craft, or your personal goals, you give yourself the rare opportunity to step out of the noise and into clarity. That time becomes a space of conscious living, not reactive surviving. Clarity doesn't usually come in a flash of inspiration. It comes through doing the work. When you sit down every day and put focused energy into something meaningful, patterns start to emerge. You begin to understand what excites you, what drains you, what works and what doesn't. You don't need to have everything figured out at the beginning. You just need to show up. Because clarity often comes after action, not before it. The process of showing up for that 1 hour forces you to confront what truly matters to you. It peels away distractions and reveals what's underneath. The more you return to that hour each day, the more self-aware you become. You learn how you work best, what time of day your mind is sharpest, which tasks move the needle and which ones waste your time. That level of self-awareness becomes your guide. You stop copying others. You stop chasing trends. You begin to trust your own instincts because you've built a relationship with your work. That trust, that alignment is clarity. It's knowing what you're here to do, how you want to grow, and what steps will actually get you there. Clarity also removes resistance. When you're unclear, everything feels hard. You procrastinate because you don't know what to do next. You hesitate because the path is foggy. You second guess your decisions because there's no internal compass guiding you. But when you know what you want and why it matters, you act faster and with more conviction. That daily hour becomes a place to reconnect with your goals and remind yourself why they're worth pursuing. It simplifies your choices. It clears the mental clutter. You stop asking, should I do this? And start thinking, how fast can I make it happen? Another powerful benefit of clarity is that it strengthens your ability to say no. When your vision is unclear, you say yes to too many things. You get pulled in 10 directions and wonder why you're not making progress. But when you're grounded in clarity, you become more selective. You protect your time. You guard your energy. You stop doing things just to stay busy and instead focus on what moves you forward. That 1 hour becomes non-negotiable, not because you have to do it, but because you want to. It becomes sacred because it reflects the clarity you've found about what matters most. Clarity also brings confidence. When you know where you're going, you stop needing permission to take the next step. You don't wait for perfect conditions or external validation. You just move, you create, you build. That confidence doesn't come from arrogance. It comes from alignment. You're not pretending to be someone you're not. You're becoming more of who you already are. And that shows up in your work, your voice, and your decisions. The 1 hour rule isn't just a habit. It's a doorway into clarity, identity, and inner strength. You'll find that the more you commit to that hour, the more everything else begins to make sense. Clarity isn't a luxury. It's a necessity for anyone who wants to create meaningful results. It's the difference between movement and progress, between chaos and order, between wishing and achieving. And the most powerful part is that you don't need a full plan to start. You just need a commitment to show up every day for that 1 hour, to listen to yourself, to work on something that matters, and to allow the process to teach you. Over time, the fog lifts, the vision sharpens, the confusion fades, and what remains is a sense of direction so strong it can pull you through doubt, fear, and resistance without losing your way. Discipline is the foundation upon which all success is built. It's what separates those who dream from those who achieve, those who plan from those who act. While motivation can come and go like the wind, discipline is steady, reliable, and unshakable. It's the ability to show up day after day, even when you don't feel like it. The 1 hour rule is a disciplined training ground. By committing to 1 hour of focused work every day, you cultivate the habit of persistence and build the mental toughness needed to overcome obstacles and distractions that inevitably come your way. Most people rely on motivation to get things done. They wait for inspiration, for the right mood, for energy to strike. But motivation is fleeting. It can be strong one day and non-existent the next. If you build your success on motivation alone, you're setting yourself up for inconsistency and frustration. Discipline, on the other hand, doesn't wait for feelings. It's a choice you make regardless of your emotional state. It's about pushing through resistance, doing what needs to be done, even when it's uncomfortable or boring. The 1-hour rule teaches you to embrace this mindset by creating a daily non-negotiable commitment that becomes part of your identity. When you commit to one focused hour each day, you're essentially training your mind and body to follow through. This builds trust within yourself. You prove over and over that you can rely on yourself. That trust is powerful. It's the foundation of confidence and self-respect. You stop doubting your ability to execute and start believing in your capacity to create change. The more you practice discipline through this rule, the easier it becomes to tackle bigger challenges, longer projects, and more complex goals because you've strengthened your willpower muscle. Discipline also acts as a filter that removes distractions and excuses. When you decide to protect your 1 hour, you're saying no to everything that doesn't serve your progress during that time. You turn off notifications, close unnecessary tabs, and create an environment where focus can thrive. This level of intentionality requires discipline, because the world around you is designed to pull your attention away. Social media, messages, interruptions, they all compete for your time and energy. But discipline is the shield that guards your focus. It empowers you to create boundaries and stick to them, which is essential for deep work and meaningful results. Another important aspect of discipline is consistency. Success is rarely about massive sporadic efforts. It's about daily habits compounded over time. The 1-hour rule harnesses this principle by encouraging you to build a steady routine. Consistency builds momentum and fuels progress, but it also reinforces discipline. Each day you show up for that hour, you're strengthening the habit loop in your brain, making it easier to continue. Even when motivation is low or life gets complicated, your discipline keeps you anchored. It becomes a reliable force that carries you through the ups and downs of any journey. Discipline also transforms your relationship with time. When you honor your commitment to 1 hour of focused work, you start to respect your own schedule more deeply. You become protective of your time and intentional about how you spend it. This awareness helps you identify and eliminate time-wasting activities. You begin to recognize that every minute counts and that your daily choices shape your future. Discipline in this way cultivates a sense of urgency and purpose, reminding you that time is a precious resource that shouldn't be taken for granted. Importantly, discipline creates a feedback loop of progress and motivation. While discipline itself isn't dependent on motivation, the results it produces often fuel motivation. As you see your efforts add up and your goals come closer, your enthusiasm grows, you start to feel energized by your own progress. This positive cycle makes discipline easier to maintain and creates a sustainable pattern of growth. The 1-hour rule taps into this cycle by encouraging small, manageable daily steps that lead to big wins over time. You don't need to wait for a massive breakthrough to feel motivated. You build motivation through consistent action. Discipline also teaches patience. In a world of instant gratification, it's tempting to want quick results, but lasting success is a marathon, not a sprint. The 1-hour rule helps you embrace the process, trusting that small efforts compound into significant outcomes. You learn to be patient with yourself and with progress, understanding that growth takes time. This mindset shift reduces frustration and burnout, allowing you to stay committed without feeling overwhelmed. Discipline anchors you in the present moment and helps you focus on what you can control, your actions today. Discipline strengthens your identity. When you commit to the 1-hour rule and follow through consistently, you start to see yourself differently. You become someone who keeps promises to yourself and to your goals. You're no longer a passive dreamer, but an active creator. This shift in identity is powerful because it changes how you approach challenges and opportunities. You begin to act from a place of confidence and purpose, knowing that your discipline will carry you through whatever obstacles arise. The daily habit of focused work becomes a declaration of who you are and who you're becoming. Accountability is a powerful force that turns intentions into reality. Without it, even the best plans can falter, and goals remain dreams rather than achievements. The 1-hour rule not only demands personal commitment, but also invites accountability, whether to yourself or others, making your progress visible and real. When you hold yourself accountable or share your goals with someone else, you create an extra layer of motivation and responsibility that pushes you beyond excuses and procrastination. It's one thing to plan to work for an hour. It's another to know someone is counting on you or that you owe it to yourself to follow through. Accountability transforms vague desires into clear commitments. When you say, I will work on this for 1 hour every day, it's easy to let that slide when no one is watching. But when you tell a friend, a mentor, or community, or when you track your progress publicly, that promise becomes tangible. It becomes harder to ignore because it now carries weight outside your private thoughts. This external pressure, combined with your internal drive, creates a powerful engine for action. You begin to see your daily hour not as a suggestion, but as a necessary step that impacts your growth and integrity. Accountability creates clarity around your goals. When you share your intentions with others, you often have to articulate them clearly, which helps refine your focus. Explaining your purpose out loud forces you to think critically about what you want and why it matters. This process eliminates fuzzy thinking and reveals the true reasons behind your commitment. When your goals are clear in public, your accountability partners can support you effectively, remind you of your purpose when you falter, and celebrate your progress, which reinforces your motivation. One of the greatest benefits of accountability is that it combats isolation. Pursuing goals alone can be lonely and discouraging. Without support, it's easy to lose momentum or feel overwhelmed by challenges. When you involve others, you build a network of encouragement and feedback. Accountability partners hold you up when you're down, challenge you to push harder, and provide perspective when you get stuck. This connection not only makes the journey more enjoyable, but also strengthens your resolve. Knowing you're not alone makes it easier to persevere through setbacks and stay consistent with the 1-hour rule. Accountability also sharpens your self-awareness. When you regularly check in on your progress, you learn to recognize your own patterns, when you're most productive, what distracts you, and what strategies help you stay focused. This self-acknowledge is essential for growth because it allows you to adjust your approach and optimize your efforts. It turns vague intentions into specific action. Tracking your daily hour of work, whether through journals, apps, or simple logs, makes your habits visible. This visibility holds you accountable to yourself and reveals where you can improve. In addition, accountability fosters discipline and commitment. When you know you will report your progress to someone or to yourself, you are more likely to prepare mentally and physically for your hour of work. You become intentional about setting up the right environment, minimizing distractions, and prioritizing your task. This preparation strengthens your discipline because it turns your commitment into a deliberate practice rather than a spontaneous decision. The daily habit of accountability increases your ability to resist procrastination and build momentum over time. Accountability also encourages problem solving and resilience. When you face obstacles, sharing your struggles with others can lead to new ideas and solutions you might not have found alone. Accountability partners can offer advice, resources, or just a listening ear that helps you push through difficulties. This collaborative problem solving reduces frustration and prevents stagnation. It reminds you that setbacks are part of the process, not reasons to quit. The support system created by accountability transforms challenges into opportunities for learning and growth. Moreover, accountability boosts motivation through social reinforcement. Humans are naturally social creatures who respond strongly to recognition and praise. When you share your progress and receive positive feedback, it energizes you to keep going. Celebrating milestones with others makes your achievements more meaningful and memorable. This social aspect of accountability transforms your solitary effort into a shared experience, increasing joy and satisfaction. The encouragement you give and receive creates a positive cycle that sustains your commitment to the 1-hour rule. Importantly, accountability builds integrity. Following through on your promises, especially when you make them public, strengthens your sense of honor and reliability. This integrity spills over into other areas of life, improving your relationships, work ethic, and self-esteem. You start to see yourself as someone who can be trusted by others and by yourself. This identity shift is crucial because it affects how you approach future challenges and opportunities. Being accountable becomes part of your character, not just a strategy for success. Accountability provides measurable progress. When you commit to 1 hour of focused work daily and track it, you create a record of your effort. Over days, weeks, and months, this record becomes a visible timeline of growth. It helps you see how far you've come and reinforces that your daily actions add up to something significant. This tangible evidence counters doubt and fuels continued effort. The 1-hour rule, combined with accountability, turns vague hopes into documented achievements, building confidence and clarity about what's possible through consistent dedication. The power of momentum is often underestimated, yet it is one of the most transformative forces in any journey towards success. Momentum is the buildup of small wins that create a driving force, propelling you forward with increasing speed and energy. The 1-hour rule taps into this power by encouraging daily commitment to focused work, no matter how small the task may seem. Each day's effort compounds, adding fuel to the momentum engine, which makes progress easier and more natural over time. What starts as a single hour grows into a habit, then a lifestyle, and eventually becomes unstoppable momentum that carries you toward your goals. When you begin working consistently for 1 hour every day, you create a foundation of action. This foundation is critical because without it, motivation alone can't sustain you. Motivation fluctuates. Some days you feel energized and others you feel drained. But momentum generated by consistent action doesn't depend on how you feel in the moment. It builds steadily, regardless of mood, pushing you forward even when motivation is low. This steady buildup of effort transforms small beginnings into significant breakthroughs. Momentum makes difficult tasks seem manageable because each completed step creates confidence and energy for the next. Momentum also reduces the resistance to starting. One of the biggest challenges in productivity is overcoming inertia, the force that keeps you stuck in place. Starting can feel overwhelming, especially when the task feels big or unclear. But when you commit to the 1-hour rule, you remove the pressure of perfection or quantity. The simple act of showing up for that hour breaks inertia and sets the wheels in motion. As momentum grows, starting becomes easier and faster because your mind and body are already primed for action. You build a rhythm, and this rhythm becomes a powerful ally in maintaining progress. Another important aspect of momentum is how it affects your mindset. Consistent progress builds confidence and belief in yourself. When you see tangible results accumulating day by day, your self-doubt and fear begin to diminish. Momentum creates a positive feedback loop. Action leads to results. Results build confidence, and confidence fuels further action. This loop transforms your internal dialogue from one of hesitation and doubt to one of empowerment and determination. With momentum on your side, you begin to trust the process and your ability to overcome obstacles. Momentum also enhances focus and clarity. As you continue to work on your goals daily, distractions lose their grip. Momentum sharpens your ability to prioritize and tune out irrelevant noise. When progress becomes visible, you naturally want to protect it, which encourages you to guard your time and energy more fiercely. This protection helps you maintain a high level of focus during your 1 hour sessions, making your efforts more productive and effective. Over time, momentum creates a flow state where work feels less like a chore and more like an engaging challenge that you want to dive into. Momentum impacts how others perceive you and your work. When people notice your consistent effort and steady progress, it builds credibility and respect. This external validation can open doors to new opportunities, collaborations, and support that further fuel your journey. Momentum, therefore, is not only an internal force, but also an external magnet that attracts resources and encouragement. The consistency signaled by the 1 hour rule broadcasts reliability, dedication, and seriousness about your goals, making others more willing to invest time and energy in you. Momentum also reduces the impact of setbacks and failures. When you have built up a reservoir of consistent progress, a single failure or obstacle doesn't feel like the end of the road. Instead, it becomes a temporary pause in an ongoing journey. Momentum gives you resilience by reminding you that you have already moved forward so much and you can keep moving forward again. This perspective prevents discouragement and burnout, which are common reasons people abandon their goals. Momentum becomes a protective shield that keeps you going even when things get tough. The power of momentum extends to creativity and problem solving as well. When you engage with your work regularly, your brain stays active and connected to your goals. This continuous engagement allows ideas to flow more freely and solutions to emerge more quickly. Momentum fuels innovation by keeping you immersed in your process rather than fragmented by long breaks or distractions. The habit of daily commitment helps you enter a state where creativity and productivity coexist, making your work more enjoyable and effective. Importantly, momentum creates a strong foundation for scaling your efforts. Once you have established the habit of 1 hour daily, you may find it easier to increase your workload or tackle bigger projects. The discipline, confidence, and focus built through momentum make growth feel natural rather than forced. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by the idea of expanding your efforts, momentum primes you to embrace new challenges with enthusiasm. This scalability is crucial for long-term success because it allows you to adapt and grow without losing your rhythm. Momentum connects you to a larger purpose. When your daily actions accumulate into visible progress, it reinforces why you started in the first place. Momentum is the bridge between your initial vision and the reality you are creating. It transforms abstract goals into concrete achievements and helps you experience the joy of progress regularly. This connection to purpose sustains you through difficult times and inspires you to keep moving forward. The 1 hour rule, by fostering momentum, turns your journey into a powerful narrative of growth, resilience, and fulfillment.